So here is Bill Maher talking to Yuval Noah Harari about the age-old question of why do people hate the Jews? Why has anti-Semitism existed throughout Jewish history? Here's their discussion, then I'll give you my reaction.
Why do people hate the Jews? I just wrote that one. I just thought it'd be a good way to wrap it up and ask.
The best historical answer that I know is something which doesn't really come from Christian theology, but still, I'll give you 3 statements and try to connect them in a logical way. Statement number 1, Jesus came to save all humans from our misery. Statement number 2, I'm still miserable. Statement number 3, the Jews killed Jesus. How do you connect these 3 statements together in a logical way? You get anti-Semitism.
Right. I would add to that, I think that is one of the reasons that a lot of people think the Jews killed Jesus. 2, chosen people strikes a lot of people wrong. Just like, oh, you think you're chosen? Well, we'll see about that. And 3, successful. Very successful. Right?
Don't look at me, I didn't write this.
No, but why do you think that there's anti-Semitism to the degree now would we? Okay, but what about the young people now? What about this weird alliance between wokeism and jihadism that's going on?
I'd also add, you've got like this many Jews on TikTok, which is the most important mechanism to transmit information among young people today. And you've got a vastly larger Muslim population. The algorithms are driving the hate, as Yuval suggested. That's actually a big component of why it's growing right now.
So the answer is get more Jews on TikTok. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Well, this is interesting. I have to say that I think all the reasons that they suggested don't provide a full picture. And I'll go through them with you. So let's think about it. The first thing they said was it's Christianity. Okay, so you say it's Christianity. Well, first of all, a lot of anti-Semitism has come from non-Christians as well. Hitler, the greatest anti-Semite of all, was not Christian. Now you could say, yes, well, he was raised on the backdrop of Christian Europe, which had a history of anti-Semitism. Fine. The Islamic world is not Christian. It has existed in other elements of the world. It's true to say it's definitely much more focused in the monotheistic world, anti-Semitism, and that definitely is worth exploring. But saying that it's all just about Jews, deicide, killing Jesus, it doesn't add up, because also the Romans did it. It wasn't actually the Jews that crucified Jesus. And so this notion that you're going to hate a whole group of people forevermore because one person did something, if that was the case, then why didn't they apply it to the Romans? No, actually, they created a whole Roman Catholic Church. But the Jews, because they say that Jesus was betrayed or whatever, that means that Jews forever are condemned. It's pretty illogical stuff. Also, Jesus himself in the New Testament says, forgive them for they know not what they do, and the Vatican exonerated the Jews officially. It doesn't add up that's the cause. And then the second one was the chosen people thing. And Bill Maher is saying Jews claim chosenness. Of course, that's going to ruffle some feathers. Well, there's a few problems with that. First of all, many people claim to be chosen. Christianity and Islam both say that we are now the new bearers of the covenant of God. We are, in effect, the new chosen people. And they have an exclusivist religion that says if you believe in our religion will you go to heaven. Judaism doesn't say that. Judaism is not exclusivist. It says the Jews have a chosen mission in the world, but everyone has a mission in this world. Everyone has a relationship with God. And it's just about a particular role one has in this world to be chosen. But it's just to help spread God's light. It's certainly not about one is damned and one has salvation. So, every religion to an extent, and a lot of countries as well, in some ways claim a certain exceptionalism or supremacy or sense of being chosen. It's very common. Also, Jews in Germany and in other parts of Europe in the build-up to the Holocaust, many of them totally dismiss their religious identity. They said Berlin is our Jerusalem. They completely assimilated. And the Germans still weren't happy. Which also breaks another theory, which is that they say maybe it's because the Jews are outsiders. Well, the Jews rushed, and that's why Jews are hated, but the Jews rushed to assimilate, so many of them. And now they said, not we hate you because you're different, we hate you because you're trying to become like us. And then the argument we heard given was about Jews are successful. And that's why they're hated. There may be some resentment and jealousy there, but there's a lot of minority groups that are successful. It's not just the Jews. And also, yes, Jews have a disproportionate success, but also there's been times in Jewish history where Jews have been poor, downtrodden, very economically weak. Look at what happened in Eastern Europe, in Russia. The Jews of the Pale of Settlement, dirt poor, and yet they had the pogroms and the massacres. So again, that theory doesn't fit. And there are other theories as well, including, well, it's just a convenient scapegoat. Well, the problem with that is you've got to already hate a group in order for them to be a convenient scapegoat. There's already got to be some level of hate that you can whip up. So imagine if Hitler said it's the bicycle riders and the midgets that are the cause of all of Germany's problems. Do you think he would have got the same support or the same hatred that was riled up? Not so sure. So then what really is the cause of it all? Well, Judaism tells us that it's not that the Jews claim to be chosen, because lots of people claim to be chosen, and lots of religions and countries, whatever, far more exclusivist than the Jewish people are. I think it's more the fact that the Jews actually are God's chosen people, chosen to be his voice to the world. That's the reason. Because it's not that the crime is that if you don't believe the claim, so the Jews are arrogant, so arrogance is punishable by Holocaust, and all the other suffering, ghettos, blood libels, etc., etc. See, the thing that ties it all together, actually, when people sort of say success, they're touching at what's going on here. When people say it's Christianity, Christians are upset with Jews for not accepting their religion. That's what's really going on. The thing that's going on ultimately is the fact that perhaps at a subconscious level, people know that deep down, this really is the Jewish people and the Jewish people's role. They really do have a particular and unique destiny with vis-a-vis the rest of the world and the nations of the world. That's why the world has its magnifying glass on Israel, disproportionately so when there are so many other far more bloody conflicts going on. Far more than what's happening in Israel. It's the fact that the Jewish people really are that. They really are that. Do have that unique spiritual destiny to bring God's Torah, his vision for the world, into this world to make it real. And it's not me that's saying this. This is what the rabbis of the Talmud says. I once heard Dennis Prager say the rabbis of the Talmud could debate for pages and pages about the dimensions of a sukkah. But when it came to Jew hatred, they could explain it in a sentence. They said, where does the hatred of the anti-Semites come from? They use the word in Hebrew for hatred is sinah. And they say, well, it's very simple. They sort of do a play on words. They say the sinah, the hatred of the anti-Semites of this world, comes from Sinai. They link those two words, Sinah and Sinai. Sinai is Mount Sinai. The moment where the Jewish people were given that role, charged with that role by God, where he gives them the Ten Commandments, the Torah, and says, bring my voice, bring my kind of desire and will for this world into this world. Create a society that lives that example, share these values, whether you're in your own home or whether you're in exile. Bring this to life. Bring me to life in the world. And it's had a tremendous impact, the Bible, the Hebrew Bible, in transforming the world's values. And of course, there's more to do. But that really is what the Jewish people are about. And the resistance to that is the resistance to that very mission. Again, don't take my word for it. I'll quote to you Adolf Hitler, the greatest anti-Semite of them all, who said, Providence has ordained that I should be the greatest liberator of mankind, of humanity. I am freeing man from the restraints of an intelligence that has taken charge, from the dirty and degrading self-mortification of a false vision, a Jewish invention called conscience and morality, and from the demands of a freedom and independence which only a very few can bear. The Ten Commandments have lost their validity. Conscience is a Jewish invention. It's a blemish like circumcision. The struggle for world domination is fought entirely between us, between the Germans and the Jews. Everything else is but deception. So, this is clear that Hitler wanted a world in which might is right, have survival of the fittest, and he saw morality and conscience and all these things as crippling us, where it made us care for the weak and the vulnerable. That's not the kind of world he wanted. He wanted a world entirely governed by impulse, which is exactly what Judaism brought to the world to teach us not to do. It doesn't say completely dismiss your emotions and impulse and drives, but channel them towards godliness and holiness. And that's what he was up against. Anne Frank, actually, she kind of touched on this and could sense this in one of her last diary entries. She said on April 11th, 1944, "Who knows, it might even be our religion from which the world and all peoples learn good, and for that reason and that reason alone do we now suffer. We can never become just Netherlanders or just English or representatives of any other country for that matter. We will always remain Jews." She got it. She got it. And that's why the work of Hasbara, of trying to make Israel be treated just like everyone else, is doomed to fail, because we are not like everyone else and the world knows it. So no, the hatred of the Jews is not because they claim to be chosen. It's because they were chosen for a mission. Not that everyone else is damned. Let's not go down that route. That's not what it means. But it does mean that they were chosen for a role. And anti-Semitism is the resistance and the hostility to God's very own desire for the kind of world that he wants. If you've made it so far in this video, I have a request for you. JTV has been having a really big impact in spreading the truth about Israel and creating positive associations with the Jewish people, Judaism, and Israel. We've really grown a lot, particularly in the last year, and we're having a really significant impact, both for Jews and non-Jews. But I really want to take JTV to the next level so we can start to compete with the other big online media beasts that are often peddling anti-Israel content. And the way we're going to do that is to scale even faster. So I'd love to build a team where we have other presenters doing shows like me. Let's start doing documentaries, supplementary content, animated content, etc., etc. And to do that, I'd like to build a bit of a team. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one fundraising day, just one, where we try and build up some funding in order to fund such a team. Now, to do that, it's going to obviously require people to get involved. And I'm wondering if you would consider, if you're watching JTV content and appreciate what we do and want to help partner with us in taking this to the next level and spreading the truth farther and wider than ever before, I wonder if you'd consider partnering with us simply by running a page, a mini page on the fundraiser that we do, where you just reach out to your contacts on that day that we choose to fundraise and see if they'll all chip in. If you'd be up for doing that, of which I would be so grateful, then please click on the Google form link in the video description of this video, where you can simply just put in a few contact details. It'll be a very small commitment, as I say, literally just one day that we'll all agree upon as a collective community. But the impact is going to be so big. There's such strength in numbers. If we all pull together and do this, we can take this to the next level. And as I say, all of us can partner together in bringing and spreading the truth to the whole world. So please do consider clicking on that link, filling in the form, and I'll be in touch very soon to talk about the next steps. Small commitment, but a big impact. Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.